This May marks my first year since moving to Portugal, and it's been one of the best years ever. And here are 10 things I wish I knew before moving 4,000 kilometers from my home country to Portugal to 300 days of sunshine a year, fresh fish, pastel de nata, and perfect beaches. Just terrible. Send help. At the beginning of 2024, I had to go through some medical checkups, which I'd been delaying for quite some time because I was on the move and there was always something more urgent to take care of. So for the sake of my health, in February, after I finished all the bureaucracy of settling in, I scheduled some medical tests and they happened to be in my local hospital. And I'm very glad that I had the opportunity to get to know the hospital because I wouldn't have wanted to be in an emergency situation and only then to set foot in the hospital for the first time. Which brings me to my first point. A hospital is a very important thing to consider when you're choosing where to live. Some things that I checked were if this is a big enough hospital and what are the reviews of people who've been treated there. And I would also ask in local expat groups about people's experiences with it. And let's say that everything is good and the reviews are great. I would still try to schedule a doctor's appointment there or a medical checkup because I feel that there are things that you can only know if you're on the ground and actually experiencing it as a patient. For example, do they speak English at the reception? Because you don't want to be in a situation where you're sick or you're bringing in a family member who is not well and you're trying to explain yourself in a new language. Also, is there a parking lot and where is the main entrance? You don't want to deal with these things when you're sick. So I was very happy to find out that at my local hospital, the people at the reception spoke incredibly good English and they were super kind. And I just know that if something happens, I'll come there and I'll be in good hands. Number 2 is being close to the airport. Close enough, not too close that you can hear the airplanes landing, if you know what I mean. So why is it important to live close to the airports? When you move abroad, you're leaving behind your grown-up kids, your extended family, and your friends, and you'll probably want to go back to visit at least a couple times a year. Now, if you live more than 100 kilometers from the airport, which is 60 miles, this becomes a major hassle because an Uber to the airport will be super expensive. Driving your car there and parking it can also be quite pricey. So you're left with public transport options like a bus or a train if there's one in your area. And I don't know about you, but my back is not in shape anymore for carrying suitcases up and down the stairs. So that's not an option for me. You'll probably be also getting a lot of family and friends coming to visit you. So I find that 100 kilometers radius from the airport works well, which leads me nicely to my next point, traffic, transportation, and how long are you going to be sitting in the car every time you go out to buy milk? I don't know about you, but I've spent so many hours of my life sitting in traffic. And at this phase of my life, I prefer to spend my time doing other things, more enjoyable things. So for me, I prefer areas that are not too congested. I like areas that are close enough to the city so I can get all the services like a hospital, a nice mall, and good restaurant. But on the other hand, I don't feel like I need to be living in the center of the action like when I was 20. So for me, an area that has rush hour, traffic jams, and sitting in the car just wasting my time is a big no-no. Hello, how are you? Okay, we had a little conversation here, a tourist, so I'm back. So next on my list is safety, and I'm sure many of you can relate. You know, when I first came here and I bought my first car here, at the dealership, they kind of gave me a brief about how everything works. And when they finished, I asked them, okay, and what's the security code? And they said, there's no security code. You just get in the car and you start driving. And I was so shocked because how do you protect your car from being stolen? Maybe some of you are lucky enough not to know what I'm talking about, but where I come from, the insurance won't even look at your car if you don't have an anti-theft code. Another thing here is the feeling of personal safety. And a lot of my friends here are Americans and Canadians. And when I asked them why they came here, the first thing they said was safety. And we all feel very grateful to be living in such a peaceful country, rated number 6 in safety in the world. I used to always be very alert when I was parking my car in an underground parking lot. And in Portugal, I discovered that I can take my time going in and out of the car. Everything is okay. And I can be less on the guard. And I can even feel it in my body. I feel physically less stress in my body when I go into places like this here. And I'm sure a lot of women can relate to that. Okay, next is the thing that can make or break the move for me, and that's a community. I always knew that a community is very important, of course, but nothing could prepare me to all these incredible expat groups. I'm an introvert, so I was never like the life of the party or going out to meet with people every day, but here it's like my social life is on steroids. There are tons of Facebook expat groups, and there's never a dull moment. There's gatherings for food, for drinks, book clubs, hiking groups, quiz nights, parties, you name it. And I think that above all, there's this feeling that you are supported here because people will go out of their way to help you. I think because every expat has left behind their family and their friends. So everyone is actually building their social network from scratch again. So for all these questions in the beginning, like car insurance, health insurance, where to register your electricity, there's always someone ready to help. And that's something I couldn't have anticipated when I moved here, but my social life is really great here. Last one, and honestly, I don't know why I put it last because I think it's one of the most important things that I wish I knew before I moved abroad alone. When I first started exploring Portugal, I stayed in a lovely small town. It was summer and everything was packed with tourists, including the beach. The town was so packed that I couldn't find parking and I had to park like 15 or 20 minutes walk from the marina and from the restaurant. And getting a table at the restaurants was a challenge by itself because you had to call in advance. But sometimes even if you called, they wouldn't have an available table days ahead. There were tourists in the streets from all over the world and you could hear so many languages. It was a lot of fun. I love that vibe. But if you're moving to a touristy area, this is something you need to consider because during peak season, it's like a completely different place. And then come November or beginning of December, and it's just you and 3 cats in the street. The restaurants start closing one after the other because the owners take a break after the insane amount of work they had during the summer, or they renovate the place. I actually love the winter vibe because you've got the beach all to yourself. But it took me some time to find my happy place, which is not too quiet in the winter. So what I'm saying is some places change dramatically between summer and winter. So I'm just suggesting that you check both seasons before you decide to settle down. If you're thinking of moving abroad, please make sure you're not doing any money mistakes that are ruining your chances to do it. So go watch my other video, Money Mistakes That Are Ruining Your Financial Future, and I will see you again very soon. Take care.